Hi friends, this is a little bit of a different video. It looks weird. I just got off work, I'm sweaty, my hair's a mess. I don't know if this video isn't even going to be usable. I may get home and watch this back and be like, it's not very ASMR of me, is it? But I am driving home and I thought, well, maybe we could just chit chat and take a little drive. I don't know about you guys, but I always feel so much better once I've taken a drive. Like if my head's really clogged, I'll just take a drive and I feel a lot better. And I used to do that more often when I first got my license, because I think I made a video on this channel when I first got my permit, and I was driving and my mother was in the passenger seat. I remember I was like this, like death grip, knuckles white, like it was bad. I didn't know what I was doing, but you have to learn eventually, which of course this turning lane is backed up. It's the work traffic. I usually get off an hour before everyone else. I get off at 4. Everyone else usually gets off around 5. But I stopped at Walmart I want to say that I was just getting some medicine from the pharmacy, which I was. But I was also on the hunt for the New People magazine because it has Chris Evans on it. He finally got his Man of the Year award. And I wanted to pick up a copy. No, look, they didn't have it. I've heard that it's the 21st is the issue, and I know today is only the 10th, but they released it a week early. So if I'm going by the math, like they released the 14th issue last Friday, so it would probably be tomorrow that they release it. But I was thinking, do stores really wait till the day of release to put it on the shelf? Because they released Taylor Swift's Midnight at Walmart like 2 days before the release. You know, this lane was so friggin' backed up that I'm back at the red light, even though the light was green. I can't. So I was hoping that they had it, but they didn't. They did have a cute little Paw Patrol book. So that was fun. I'm gonna give that to my boys. It's the Pups Save Christmas. So I haven't read it yet, but I guess I'll tell you guys if it's good or not, if my boys like it. So, and then I got a Christmas sweater. So I'm pretty sure my office has a work party, like an office party for Christmas. Not exactly sure. If they don't, I will be wearing it anyway. We reached the end of our season. So from now, technically from tomorrow until like January 3rd, we're in the off season at work. So I won't be doing any like big things. Mostly just working in the food bank and making sure families get their Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners. That's pretty much my job at the moment. And then, you know, data entry, data collection for the whole past season. Yeah, this is the longest light, I swear to God. So I'm heading home now. I think I told you guys before I have an hour commute, which I'm not gonna like make you guys sit with me for an hour. And it takes less than an hour because of the way I drive. And I'm not gonna say any more than that, so I don't criminalize myself. But anyways, I think I might stop at Walgreens just to double check, because they have more magazines than Walmart, especially this Walmart I just went to. This Walmart, they completely redid it. Let me tell you what they did, and it really made me mad. They upgraded all the aisles, so we have a frozen section now, you know, all the good stuff. We didn't before. It was one of the smaller, older Walmarts, and I prefer the smaller, older Walmart. Granted, it's cheaper and faster to go here than it is to go to the next county over for the frozen Walmart. But what I was really mad about was they put in a whole extra gaming aisle and like 2 new toy aisles, and the book aisle is no longer a book aisle. It is an end cap and like one shelf on the side. They have the one shelf, and together it shares the mass markets, little romance novels, and then the newest releases, which literally 3 shelves out of the 6 on that one were Colleen Hoover. So, and then there was Stephen King's new one, I think Daniel Steele maybe, and then beyond that they had the magazines, and then the end cap has the same new releases on the other side. But I'm like, that's your bookshelf? Like, this used to be an entire long aisle. And the Walmart in the other county, their aisle, it's more than just the one aisle. It's near the video games and the movie section, so like the aisle is split in half. So you have 2 different aisles, and then they're on both sides. And I love that one because I love to be able to look at the books. But yeah, that just makes me mad. So, but I'm just rambling because I'm sick. I have a lot of congestion, so maybe my voice sounds good like this. Who knows? Do I sound sexy now? Like, is that what it is? Yeah. So, and I thank you again to those who helped out with that GoFundMe for my uncle's funeral. I don't know if any of you remember. I guess it was probably 5 years ago now, 5 or 6 years ago, almost 6. I made a video back when I was just before college. I made the video saying that he had his cancer, and he did, and it was bad. It was stage 4. They didn't think there was anything they could do. But he took through chemo, and he miraculously was in remission, and that was really great. He never had to have any like drastic surgeries. He had a part of his colon removed because he had colon cancer. But he was fine otherwise. You know, he didn't even have. We have a friend of the family who had the same cancer, and he now has a bag. But he didn't have to. He didn't have to go through anything like that. And so he was fine. And they said if you make it past the 3-year mark with these scans, we're doing scans every 3 months, and if you make it past 3 years and you're good, then you're probably good, and you're not going to have cancer again. Like this. I mean, this type won't come right back. You know, you're not going to have a. I don't know what the word for it is. I know it, but I don't know on the top of my tongue. Like when it immediately snaps back. But then 5 years comes and he gets it again. So, and it was the same kind, same aggressiveness. Did the chemo. This time it didn't work. And then they found out that it had spread. It was the kidneys, the liver, and then the lymph nodes. Lymph nodes in his lower half, and then there were lymph nodes under his arms that it spread to. So it was pretty aggressive, and the chemo wasn't working. So he finished through the first chemo. He did the pills. Sorry, those didn't work. They actually made him so sick that he was in the ER. Like he just couldn't do it. So after a few rounds of that, they were like, well, let's do you come in twice a week, give you the pump, you know. And that was hell on him because he had to drive an hour just to get the pump removed because it would beep, and then he'd have to drive there immediately no matter what the time of the day. And so, but he finished the first, like he finished everything, and they said nothing's happening, nothing has shrunk, and it's spread more. So you know, practically untreatable. They said he could do radiation, but they didn't see much happening because of that. Not with it being in so many different places, and not with it at that point having nearly shut down his kidneys. He was 3 times went to the ER, 2 or 3 times, with extreme dehydration and kidney failure. But when he quit that, he quit the chemo, didn't want to do radiation because they said it really wouldn't do much. And it wasn't probably a week after that he had this spell where he went to the ER, and they basically told him tonight's it. His kidneys were in complete failure. They had no because they were like sending fluids in and out. His liver was awful. The jaundice, he looked as yellow. I don't know how to describe it. Like the walls of a smoker, that yellow. The white walls of a smoker where it's that yellow and gross. That's what it looked like. And he looked so sallow and sunken in. And his potassium levels were up to 15. And so they pretty much gave him up to die. I had arrived in the room right as the doctor was telling him and his wife that there's really nothing and it could be at any time, and to just kind of, they were making him comfortable, they were giving him medicine. And so that was a really, really scary thing. But then he didn't. Somehow, we were just all there, and we were all gathered in the room. They had him in one of the more private ER rooms, the one off the side. I think it was the labor room. And his potassium dropped back down. Everything was looking okay. They wanted to airlift him to the state hospital a couple hours away, and so they did. We drove there like 3 a.m. and we stayed there over the weekend, and then my aunt stayed with him until the end of the week. And it wasn't, I don't know, a day and a half after that, maybe. It wasn't even 24 hours that he was normal himself. Then he started to kind of lose his cognitive abilities. First it was the strength, and then he started spurring his words and sputtering. At one point I witnessed him have a stroke, a mini stroke. They said it wasn't enough to take him out right there, but it was a mini stroke. He just sort of threw himself back in the chair, and then his face started drooping. It was weird. You could visibly see it start to fall, especially when he started to open his mouth to try to speak. His lips just dropped, and his eyes, he couldn't speak. He couldn't even look at me. It was like he was looking through me, like right past my shoulder. But he came out of that. It was really strange. And from there, he just wasn't the same. And he was getting worse. He was getting angry. He was throwing things. Luckily, we had a friend who was a nurse, and she was an ICU nurse. And she came down to the house, visited him a couple times a day, and said that it's the potassium levels again. And it's the ammonia, and that it had spread to his brain, and it was causing behavioral issues. And so we knew right then and there that there was not a lot of time. And then we got him on hospice, and they got him a bed. It was an emergency call. He finally agreed, because his whole thing in his will was nothing. No, he had a DNR signed. He was ready, because he saw both of his parents go through that, and he didn't want that. And but my aunt talked him into getting at least a hospice so he could be comfortable, because he was sleeping and he was at my house, because their house was too small for a walker and a wheelchair. And he got in the hospice. He got in the bed, and then the next day, he was gone. So I was at work and I got a text and I rushed home. Yeah. And the only reason we did the GoFundMe was because he had insurance. And he specifically got that insurance because they told him, oh, this goes into effect immediately as soon as you start paying on it. And that's what he wanted, to make sure that she was covered, his wife. He's always worrying about covering other people. Always worried about making sure everyone else was comfortable. And they said, well, no, it only activates after 2 years, and you only paid it for a year. So they gave her premium back, what she had been paying, and then they gave her 20% of that, which wasn't, I don't know, 800, and that wasn't enough for a coffin, like it was ridiculous. So, but thankfully he was a fire chief, so they helped pitch in. They even gave him his last call funeral, which was really nice. He would have loved that. Turning into Walgreens now. I'm gonna check their magazine aisle. But yeah, so yeah, sorry I got a little depressed there, but I don't know, it helps talking about it. Temporarily closed due to power. Mother trucker. Alright. Well, I guess we're not checking there for magazines. I guess we can check tomorrow. Maybe it'll actually be out tomorrow. Who knows? I was gonna take the highway, but I think I'll just take this side street. Yeah, so, but I mean, we kind of expected it, but it's still hard. That was the only man who I ever really felt close to who didn't really put expectations on me. When I first came out to him the first time, it was nothing but acceptance. And then when I kind of came to terms with my actual identity, still nothing but acceptance. Him and his wife. They never had kids, but they were I remember them being parents because I was a year old, 2 years old, going with them everywhere. One of my first memories is being with them at their house watching Monsters, Inc. And they had Dish. And for any of you who've had Dish, probably my older viewers, I don't think Dish even exists anymore. Didn't they take it out back when digital introduced in the early 2000s, 2007 or something? Because I remember we had digital, and we got to go to channel 900. You could watch Team Nick and stuff. But they had Dish, and they'd say, "Oh, it's over. It's not coming back on," and the whole channel would just be Monsters, Inc. And I would be able to tell the letters what they were meaning. I miss him. I do. I guess it just helps knowing he's okay. He's not struggling. He doesn't have to fight cancer anymore. So yeah. Yep. Anyways, I don't know if this is even relaxing, hearing me talk about that morbid stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna head home. I'm gonna grab some dinner. They said they're having chili. Not really the mood for chili. But then I'm going to. I don't know. I don't really have anything to do. I don't think so. I think a friend of mine wants to watch something. We've been watching The Pacific. If you haven't watched The Pacific, you need to watch The Pacific on HBO Max. It's an HBO miniseries. This is probably our fourth time watching it together. I just love it. When I first met him, I said, I'm not into war movies. I don't like war stuff. And that's because my extent of war media had been born the 4th of July. So I didn't really know much. And then he introduced me to this film. Oh shit. Oh, sorry, I can't say bad words on this channel. I have kids that watch me. But he introduced me to this movie called 1917. Brilliant film. And then from there we just kept on watching more war films. And then we watched Band of Brothers, which I adore. And then The Pacific, which I adore. Yeah. So yeah, we're probably gonna watch that. I think we're gonna watch the American Horror Story tonight. Is that on? That's on Hulu tonight. I'm gonna watch American Horror Story. I'm loving this season, let me tell you. I had such low expectations because of what Ryan Murphy does. We don't talk about that. We're gonna get into it. I probably have a lot of Ryan Murphy fans. I like his stuff, okay? I just don't really respect a lot of what he does, and I don't like some of the creative choices he makes. I don't know. I just think he needs an edit button. He needs an edit button for sure, and he needs a conscience. Something to be like, are you sure about that? But I'm really liking this season. If you haven't seen it, I will warn you, it's probably the gayest season. And it's probably the most gruesome season. Because it feels less fanatical in a horror underlying, issues happening in the world. And even today, and it takes place in the 80s during the AIDS epidemic, but it's more than just the 80s. It takes, there's effects of that today. We see that happening today. So yeah, really liking it. I like Charlie Carver. I love Charlie Carver, actually. And I love Billy Lord. Oh my god, those two together are perfect. But I really like all the characters. I like what they're doing. I'm excited to see where it goes. Yeah, I'm really here for it. I want to say it could be a contender for my favorite season. Currently, my favorite season ever made is Asylum. I love Asylum. And I love Coven. If I had to pick a top 3, not including the newest one, I would, in no particular order, Asylum, Coven, Murder House. And those are the first 3 seasons. I haven't seen past Hotel, though, I will say that, because I've heard so many bad things about Cult and Apocalypse. 1984, I just haven't watched it. I haven't got a chance to. And then Roanoke, I was really hesitant because I really didn't understand what it was about, and then someone explained it to me, and now I really want to watch that season. I love meta stuff like that. So I love, one of my favorite genres of horror is the meta found footage craze, where it's found footage but it's meta at the same time. So yeah. So I'm gonna do that, and then I gotta go to bed, but I won't sleep because I don't sleep very well, and I'll probably get 3 hours of sleep before I have to get up and do work again tomorrow. Then I have the weekend off, and my birthday is on Sunday, and I'm not expecting a lot to happen on Sunday because I don't know, it just feels weird. I don't have my uncle here, and the world is just weird and different. It feels weird. And I was gonna get a tattoo. That was the plan, let me tell you. But I didn't get a chance to set up an appointment because I kept messaging the guy, and it just didn't happen. So, but that was kind of the big plan. So I don't know what I would do though. But I'll just sit at home, watch bad movies, read a book or something. I don't know. I think once you hit a certain age, birthdays become no fun. Or less important. You know what I mean? God, I just realized I'm in forest fires right now. Really bad forest fires. They've whomped out 500 acres on the first night. And I'm driving through the smoke because they're pretty close. God, I smell it. But yeah, I feel like I'm gonna be 23, so it's not that age. It should be the age of partying and going out. I just don't like that stuff. I don't like clubs. I don't like bars. I don't know. I'd rather stay at home or do something go to a bookstore or go to a park. It's cold. It's November, so but that's what I like to do. Flooding. You guys probably saw it on the news. I mean, there was massive flooding. History breaking. And now the roads are still in disarray. So, but anyways, I am not gonna ramble on for too much longer. I'm going to wrap things up, and yeah, so I'm hoping this is good. I'm hoping that I can use this, and I'm hoping that it's relaxing, if for nothing else, just because we get to just chat, get to hang out. I'm never home alone, and I haven't moved yet. I'm planning to in the spring, so What is your favorite thing about driving? That's a good one. Mine is being alone. Like, just the time to think. Sometimes I'll drive without the radio and just, let the silence be something